Hey, welcome to another video. In this video, I am going to review Shopify down theme behind the scene. Like we will review the code, how it is done and how it is different than the way we are going to do. So it is very important to understand why we change something because of the way it is done or because we can make it easier for ourselves. Now, if you come to the documentation of Shopify theme, on the first step that you are initializing your theme, Shopify says that if you are using down as a starting point, make sure it is different. It is when you submit it to the marketplace, make sure it is totally different. That's why the theme that we are building is going to be way different than the way down is. In the beginning of the video I said there are a lot of codes in down that we are going to remove and replace it with much less code, and it is going to be much easy for us to maintain in the future. So let's check out behind the scene of the CSS, JavaScript and other structure of the theme, so you can understand how Shopify developer did it and why the way I do is the other approach. So if I open the theme that we have been working, and I'm going to start from CSS changes. The first thing I will open is theme.liquid. Now if I scroll up in here, one of the things that you notice is they use a lot of CSS variables. Now they assign this variable in here, for example the body font family, they take it from the setting. And this is great if someone is building theme for the marketplace and the user who purchased the theme is not going to bother themselves editing the theme. I have seen a lot of brand is going to customize the theme based on their own need. They have their own design, but this theme that Shopify built, it is really easy to customize from here. If you click on the theme setting, from typography you have option to change any font you want for the body, for the colors, again you have all these options. But if you are maintaining this theme for yourself, it is really hard because a lot of these colors that you see in here is what you see and you don't have a lot of option on them. For example, if you come to the header, in here you have background 1, background 2, and while the naming should be different. For example, if you click inverse, it will go black. And instead of this, they could select a color picker like background or foreground color for the text, something like that. That would be much easy for any brand to customize. But for now, either they go inverse or they go with the same colors that they have. It has also its own advantages. One of the main thing is like a lot of brand, when they install the theme, if they select a color, the color should be accessible. So this color that Shopify select by default in here are very accessible, but it is really easy to change it from the setting and make the color different. But here's the thing, like here is how it works behind the scene. If I scroll down, these are all the variables, the CSS variable that they can use throughout their design. Scrolling down to the bottom, you notice something in here. Font size, they are using the calc function, also the var. It is taking the body scale font, whatever that is, and they multiply it by 62%. What this is doing, it is doing some interesting thing. If I scroll down in here, why the font size is too small in here? Let's check out in here. Now if I pick the color of this contact text in here, the font size is 14 pixel, right? If you select this, go to compute it, and you can find out the font size is 14 pixel. If you click on this, however, it will take you to the exact place it is used. It is 1.4 rem. As a developer, I know 1 rem is 16 pixel. How come this is 1.4 rem but this is 14 pixel? Because Shopify added this code that I showed you in here. Now what this code is doing, it is not going to use the 100% of the font size. It is going to like scale it to 62. So that way, if you are writing 1 rem, it is actually not 16 pixel. It is going to round it up and use the 60%, which is like 12, I don't know, 12 pixel probably. That's why I don't like this. I will remove it in the future and I don't use it, because as a developer, when I say 1 rem, I mean 16 pixel. I don't mean whatever this is calculating it here. So that's why this is a bit confusing for me when I started, and I noticed a lot of the things are not the proper font size. And the reason the structure is broken is because we added Tailwind CSS in the previous video. But if we remove this, for now we just comment it and everything should look as normal. I just wait for this to load. Yeah, everything look as normal because Tailwind is overwriting whatever CSS is in here. Now, so this is how they write all the CSS. Now the first thing is I don't like to put all CSS in this theme.liquid. Theme.liquid is the main template. This is the master template. You should keep it clean. We can just move it and snap it, which we do in the future. Now the other thing is, like, if I open the section, I'm not going to make the video too long, open the header. For example, this is one of the file. In here, they are including all the CSS. Now they have different CSS for different sections. Now to my point, like, header is used everywhere on the page. The same thing in the footer. If you check, they are including all the CSS separately because the CSS are written in a different place. And they also, in the first load, it is on print, and when it loads completely, it changes to all. This is technically a way to bypass is like this Google speed, like speed insight. If you are using this Google speed insight to check the speed of your website, they always say that do not load all the CSS that you don't need. So this is basically how it says. It will load it later, and as soon as the JavaScript load, it will apply it to the page. Now it is a great way to bypass it, but still you are loading it. Now my question to Shopify the developers are, you are using footer everywhere on the page. Like in every page you go, you have the footer. Why not put all of them in one file? Or why not just put all the footer style inside the global or the base.css, which is this base.css? Because you load base.css anyway, so just load everything related to footer on those files. But sometimes it is good that they are putting things like this. It is not my style, but again, they have some inline style in here, like they just directly put the style in here, and the same thing goes in here. We are going to remove a lot of it and make it much easy. Now one more thing about CSS, and then we will be done. So again, I will open the header and show you one more thing. If I scroll down a little bit, I think that's all. And also, so if we come to the JavaScript part of what they have written, there is no like libraries used in this down theme. That's why it is fast. Now it is not because they didn't use any library it makes it fast. One of the main reasons Shopify theme are becoming slow in production is the amount of app they are using. Now I have seen a lot of stores using more than 20 apps. Each app, they're like plugin. Each app is adding one CSS or JavaScript file to the theme, and sometimes it is loading very slow. That is making page speed inside very angry, and it is not easy to fix unless Shopify do something about it. Now Shopify can do it. Shopify can lazy load those assets, and like I might discuss it more in the future, which there are some solution for that. But other than that, like, no matter how much you optimize your CSS in here, the apps will still slow down your website. Again, there are some, these are the great like work that they do for optimization, but it is not like all they need to do. Again, okay, I close header, but let's jump into JavaScript and check some of the JavaScript part of the code. So they also load the JavaScript in here. For example, this detailed disclosure is basically the details that you have in here. Now last time I used details, if I open this website for the summary, it is used for something like accordion, something like this. But now they used it in the theme. So if you're on mobile, you open it, this is a details in here. If I guess it correctly, yes, it is summary. Summary is basically the title, and the details is displaying in here, which is right, but they could do it better. We are going to overwrite this. And the thing in JavaScript is they have a custom tag called header drawer. This is written in the global.js. So I'm going to find that for you. If we open global.js and search for header drawer, you can find that there is an element. So using custom element, they are going to define, and they pass the header, which is this code in here. Now for the person who knows like JavaScript, they can find out what exactly this is doing, right? It is really easy to understand, like if you go each line by line. But if you are maintaining a theme with all this JavaScript code, which are the custom code, it will be very like difficult for you to, I don't know, to bring any update or add your own feature, because you have to understand all these things. I know it is easy to understand, this is just a click listener, But when it comes to real projects, you will be confused of why they have written this line of code, or why they are like removing autofocus in here, and unless you read all the code, and there is no documentation for it. The person who write this is their own style. But when you use a library like Alpine.js, there is documentation. If I am putting an event, you can go to the documentation and see why I used it. It is written in the documentation of Alpine. It is always there. But yeah, this is the only downside of writing all these custom things that you have here. Now again, they have a data breakpoint. Now you must understand how this work. You have to go to JavaScript and check why they are putting this breakpoint tablet in here. And then you go and see where in the JavaScript they read this data breakpoint, so you understand how it is working. Again, I will scroll down, and this is all the JavaScript. The same thing goes for the slider. Now if I here there is a product that I have added all these images from this website called Kitsch. They have these eco-friendly shampoos. It was not an ad, so I just selected those randomly. Now if I go to this product, in mobile they have a slider using pure JavaScript. There is not any JavaScript slider. I will create a dedicated video of why you don't need a JavaScript slider and what are the alternatives, like why you don't need it. Is it going to slow down your website and things like that? But for now, let's test it on iPhone Pro 12 Pro, and this is the slider that they use as custom slider. And I am going to create a custom slider using JavaScript and it will function the same. The thing is, like, it should be easy for you to customize in the future, because I have seen a lot of clients, they come with like certain types of features. They say, can we have like a progress bar in here? Can we have this? Can we have that? On those situations, you have to like understand how JavaScript works to customize the slider for yourself, or you go for alternative JavaScript slider, which is slow down the website drastically. Now I am going to go back to JavaScript. Let's find out this slider. There is a file called slideshow. This is for the homepage slideshow. You can add multiple images to this one, but they have a component called a slideshow component. The component should be, yeah, the component is also written inside the global, which run on every page. Now if I search for the slider, here is the slider component. This is all the code for this slider component. Now if you check the code in here, we are going to write the same thing, but it will be 50% less code than this, I'm sure, and it will be accessible the same way that this slider is accessible in the future videos. But for now, this is the code for the component that they have in a slider. Okay, it is working great, but yeah, they try to make everything as native as possible, so that's great. Okay, so yeah, and the menu, we are going to rewrite the menu. Basically that is like the whole thing that I wanted to tell you. Also they have predictive search, which is all these codes that you have seen. 250. We are going to make it again much less than this, because I have already done it. I am telling you, predictive search we will use, like we will make it much easy using Alpine.js, so it will be much like easy code inside our theme in here. And the other thing is, like, if you create all this file, you are expecting to have a lot of them inside the assets, a lot of them in here. We are going to remove all of this. We're going to just use Tailwind CSS and just compile it into the CSS. That is much easy, and I'll tell you the advantage in the future. But for now, yeah, this is basically how our theme is going to look. And before finishing the video, I wanted to test it on speed so we can check the performance, but for now it's fine. We will do that in the future video. I hope this video has been informative, and thank you for watching. And in the next video, we will redesign the navigation, and we will start from designing the desktop version and then mobile version, and you will understand how much of the code that you see in the header we are going to remove it. So it will be a lot of the videos might get longer, but we will get into that. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.